Hello and welcome to Rap Class. Today I'm gonna talk a bit about gender. I'm gonna start up with a disclaimer here. I am not a type of person who judges people on the gender they choose to pick or the gender they have. I'm pretty gender neutral in that way. And all I'm gonna talk about is the gender role, how gender has switched a bit since the medieval times, some history. Then I'm gonna talk about a sad tale of a boy that shows how gender actually is pretty effective in choosing who you are and feeling right inside yourself. Then I'm gonna talk about how we can use gender neutrality in the looks on the world and how it is used somewhere in the world to look at kids and how they play and how they work. So I hope you'll find this interesting. And please know that everything I say is not meant to hurt anyone. It's just stating facts. And that's it. Okay, now that that is out of the way, we're gonna start a bit about colors because I found an interesting fact about colors. We have the color red for girls and the color blue for boys today. But I found a fact stating that back in medieval days it was actually the opposite. Blue was the color of girls and red was the color of boys. Because blue was seen as a cold and cynical color, so it fitted to the girls apparently. Where red was the color of manhood, blood, and heart and honor, so it was a boy color. And it's kind of funny to see how that have turned to this day. And now you might think, but the color pink is a girl color, and yes, it is now, but it replaced the other colors back in the 1940s-ish and began to become the main girl color. And it's crazy to look at the journey that genders have taken since then. That it was first after World War One, World War Two that women began to work on the work floor, began to get out because all the men were killed in battle and they had to take over in the factories. And then they were like, well, we actually like to do the work. We want to keep working. And then it slowly escalated from there, getting them the right to vote and etc. But it's been a long fight. And today the fight is still there because a lot of genders are still punished for just being a gender, and that is inhumane. It shouldn't be just about you, just because you are a man or woman or something in between. It's just you should be judged on what you're doing, your actions, and how you act against the world, instead of who you are and what you are. And to say that gender doesn't matter, um, that is not true because I'm not going to tell a sad tale about a boy who was called David Raymer. And he was born in Canada as the oldest of a twin set. And about half a year after he was born, him and his twin had problems with the foreskin. So they were sent to the hospital to get it removed. But during the process, the equipment malfunctioned and burned off David's penis. And the parents and the doctors were horrified, but they couldn't do anything. There was no way to restore it. It was damaged beyond repair. So they were sent to a psychiatrist called John Money, who convinced them to make David a girl instead and pretend he's always been a girl. And if you find the documentary somewhere and watch it, it's horrifying to watch because it's so disgusting to see what this man did to this boy. But they made him believe that he was a girl called Brenda, and they dressed him in dresses, gave him dolls, gave him a vagina, and they did all that. But he always wanted to play with boy things. He always wanted to play with the thing his brother played with, and he felt wrong his entire life. And it was not before he turned into an adult that his parents came clean and said, you know what, you are actually born as a boy, and they told the story. And it destroyed him. And he found a girlfriend, and they had some time together and they got married. But he could never find his place. He was always thinking he was wrong, and he didn't know what to do with himself. And he actually ended up killing himself at the age of 38 because he just couldn't take it anymore. It was just too much for him. And that just shows that even though they gave him the looks of a girl, they gave him dresses, dolls, and everything you put together with a girl, he still felt like a boy. So much so that it ended up destroying him inside, that he was told that he was a girl and he was wrong. And the psychiatrist, John Money, didn't help because he did a lot of horrible stuff to him to make him see that he was a girl, to make him feel like a girl, and to make him feel that he was not a boy and there was nothing he could do about it. And it's a horrible, horrible tale. But the tale also shows that gender does matter. It does matter what gender you have because it's a part of you, it's part of your identity. That is why you can see kids playing doctor because they were trying to find out what am I, what are you, who am I, and who are you. And that is how they do. And you can look at all the way back to Sigmund Freud, the grandfather of psychiatry, so to speak. He was very focused on um, the gender and how they worked and the penis and the anus and all that stuff. And he was also a bit twisted, and you could see it in his theories. And that is why today there is another theory where they look at gender as a neutral part. Like, why should girls only be allowed to play with nail polish? Why can't boys use that? Why can't boys get long hair? Why can't we make it so that everyone can just use what they want to use instead of it being fixed into genders? It's the same if you go into a shop and look at the toy collection. And you can clearly see where the girl and boy section are in most shops. It's not that gender neutral yet. We are getting there slowly, but it's taking a long, long time. And gender doesn't matter. It really does matter because gender is a part of who you are and how you look at yourself and how the world look at you. And that is just a fact. Every time you say something and do something, the world look at you. Every time you dress as something, the world look at you at a certain point. But we should just be able to look beyond what gender people are and actually look at the people behind. But we are blessed in the world part of the world I live in because we have come such a long way for everyone to have the same equal rights, no matter the gender, no matter how they look, who they are, and what they are. It doesn't matter in the society I live in, and that's a nice thing. I hope that everyone can get to that point, and we can just see how in parts of Africa and India, girls are still not allowed to take an education. In the Middle East, they are not always allowed to take an education, and it's a human right they are taking from them just because of their gender. And sorry to say it, I think that is wrong. But I have grown up in a part of the world where women are equal to men, so I have a hard time putting myself into the mind where they can say girls are not allowed to do this. Mostly because a lot of girls actually comes up with the coolest stuff. A lot of the inventions we have, a lot of the goods of life we have has been invented by girls or ladies. And even some of the books we have read the most are made by ladies, but some ladies actually had to come up with a male name to get their books out, and it's horrible. It's stupid. Just look at the Harry Potter books. They refused it because of her. She had a girl's name, and then she cut it down to just her initials. And then the book were like, "Yeah, sure, that's a good book. We're gonna do it." And everyone read that book. And it's just horrible to see that it still happens, and it still happens. So I really hope that we can enter a world where gender doesn't matter that much, where gender neutrality is the way to go, where we don't see the genders, we just see a person. And I hope that by saying all this out loud, that I have reached someone, or gotten someone to think about it, or even made someone curious about gender neutrality and actually began Googling it, looking some facts up and stuff to see if we actually can make a world where we are judged on what we do instead of what we are, because that will be a better world. That would be a world where everyone is equal, where we are just humans, and it doesn't matter what gender we have, or what race we have, or what religion we have. We are just human beings. And I know it's a bit of a golden idea that everyone wants the world to be a perfect place, but we have to look at ways we can improve and get to that place. And gender is just one of it. Because yeah, we have a lot of gender problems still for girls and men that become girls, and but it's a hard thing to change if we don't educate ourselves, if we don't try to educate ourselves to make the world a better place, to look at where problems are and how to fix it or how to adjust to it so we can make the world a better place. And the past 50 years have been insane. We have done so much progress in technology and human rights, and it's been amazing to live through. But we are not in the end game yet, and there's a long way to go. But we are getting closer every day because we actually have leaders that begin to see that gender matter and how we can interact with gender. But how to interact needs education, and to educate means that we have to be brave enough to talk about it, to think about it, and to openly say, here is a problem, here is something we need to adjust, here, how can we do that, what can we do, and how do we do it. So I hope all of this has been educating or mind-opening, and I hope that no one was offended by this segment, because that was not my intentions at all, as I said in the start. I just wanted to weigh in with my opinions and some facts and a story about David Raymer, who's a horrible story, a very sad story, and hope that you all find it in you to begin to judge people on what they do instead of who they are. This has been Rant Class, and I will see you next time.